Hi, I'm Shantal Taylor, host of Shining Stars. So excited today to have the opportunity to talk with State Representative Sheri Jesiel. We will have a wonderful opportunity to hear the heart behind community service. So, Sheri, welcome. Hey,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's great to be here.
Yes, I know time just goes by so fast, but every time we have an opportunity to have someone come and talk to us, especially from the state level, it is just an honor and a privilege because at Shining Stars, we like the opportunity to have everyone have the great inside knowledge on who is this serving us, who's being our representative in Springfield. And so today, State Representative Sheri Jesiel will do a great job sharing her heart and sharing what it's like. I know right now it's some hard terrain down there in Springfield, but welcome, and let's just jump right in. What does it feel like?
To be down there, it's interesting because there's a big battle that's raging, but you
Yes.
don't really feel it when you're down there.
Okay.
We have our discussions on the floor and we battle back and forth,
Mhm.
but a lot of the issues are being decided, deliberated at levels that are even beyond us. So between leadership and the
Sure,
governor and the
sure.
governor's office. And a lot of times we're just waiting for some of the proposals.
Okay.
We also talk among ourselves, what can we do? How can we come together? We've talked with both sides of the aisle.
Mhm.
Who is interested in, coming up with some solutions. So there's talk like that too.
Very
So you
good.
just go every day and you fight the fight.
Right. So now, as a state representative and representing us here in the state of Illinois, one of the things that is happening a lot, people are leaving Illinois, unfortunately. As a state rep representing Zion Benton, and can you just share all of the area that you represent for
Sure,
us?
yeah, I start at the Wisconsin border
Okay.
and from the lake all the way out to Antioch. I have about half of Antioch.
Okay.
I run down the shoreline to Beach Park, and then I have a good chunk of Gurnee and Lindenhurst and Lake Villa, Wadsworth in between.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because I know just in our Lake County, Illinois, I mean, it's amazing that it's approximately 750,000 people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know it's a large territory that you cover.
Yeah, it's about 110,000 residents and
Wow.
probably 66,000 registered voters.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And that's, when you mention registered voters, that is one of the areas that that is why Shining Stars exist, because we
Oh.
want to help the community understand who you are and why you chose to be our state representative. So I know we have the big budget battle happening. I know it's just from one end of the state to the next. It's just, some real tough issues happening right now.
Yeah.
But, you've been in it now for, about 15 months? You've been
About 18, yeah.
about 18
Mhm.
months you've been serving us. What can you say are your main top goals for us, and how's it going? Because I know it takes a team. I mean, one person can have a goal, an idea of what they want to do, but, it takes the whole legislator. So.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the main things is we know that our tax burden is really high,
Right.
especially here in the Zion area and
Yes.
surrounding communities. So that's a big concern.
Mhm.
The other concern, like you already mentioned, we have taxpayers who are leaving, we have
Right.
businesses who are leaving.
Right.
We have a state line that is right next to us.
Right.
And people can move across the state line, they can find jobs, they can move their businesses across the state line because
Mhm.
there's disincentives to be in Illinois. That's one of my biggest, our goals. That's one of the things that I want to accomplish is how do we get businesses to stay, taxpayers to stay,
Nice.
and even uniquely in our area because of our proximity to Wisconsin. So I worked on a few things. One of the things is I've been working with the state Department of Natural Resources.
Okay.
We've had people from the governor's office up here to look at the marina.
Okay.
And right now we're in the process of developing an RFP, which is the first step to putting a proposal out there so people can bid to run the marina.
Nice.
So we're hoping in the next few months that we have that out and that we get people to bid on it and that we can bring new management to the marina and
Sure.
upgrade it and upgrade the surrounding area and get people to the lakefront.
Very
We know
nice.
it's one of our biggest assets is to
Mhm.
have that lakefront. It's underused. It's owned by Department of Natural Resources, and of course, because our state is in financial difficulty, it's hard for them to pay for it and pay attention to it. And we're so far away from Springfield, so it's hard to get their attention. But we've gotten the governor's office here, DNR here, and people are actually listening. And so this is a huge step. We're really excited to see what kind of bids we're going to get and what kind of partners that we can form and turn that thing around.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I would like for everyone viewing to understand is that when State Representative Jesiel stepped into this role, you came behind someone that had served in this area for a long time. That was State Representative Joanne Osmond. And so what has it been like being a young legislator with all of the goals that you have? I think is fantastic, what I'm sure you will do for the marina. But as we begin to delve into just, hearing your heart and your service, being brand new, what is it like?
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot to learn
Yes.
about a lot of things. There's a lot of topics that you have to be familiar with and understand, have some kind of understanding.
Sure.
So that's the first thing. There's also dynamics of people and the way the system works and how you work within it and how to get things done. So there's a learning curve, but that's one of the things I really like the most. I love to learn.
I'm sure.
And I love new things and I love challenges. So it's been a really good, there's a lot of those. It's been a good fit for me in that respect, and where you just jump in and you get to know things. And I've been familiar with politics for a long time. It's been a passion of mine for years. So
and this is your first actual
elected office.
Congratulations. That's awesome. So you just kind of stepped into, to the big league really quick.
I did, and I was working before that behind the scenes on the grassroots side. So I was part of the Central Committee, Lake County Central Committee. I was a precinct committeeman and a township chairman before that. So helping get people elected.
Sure,
so,
you did a lot of that for a lot of years. Before.
Yeah, for some years before that. So I was familiar with people and processes, and that's kind of how the door opened. But it's been interesting. It's been fun. I think the thing I really like the most is that I feel like it's a place where you can really help people.
That's it.
And there's so many people that need help, and you can't do everything at once.
Right.
But even by turning the economy around and becoming a place where jobs are plentiful, opportunities are plentiful, so people can have an opportunity to get educated, move up, pursue the American dream, which we all want.
Right.
And those are the conditions that we have to create here in order to be able to do that.
Right. And one of the things that, having gone down to Springfield several times and seeing all the different state legislators in action, but then also what happens is you get different people that come in busloads, and they have certain areas that they want you to, to vote on, to consider. What does that feel like? I mean, I was there, I think, summer last year. I remember I had the opportunity to be there, and we had an opportunity to speak with you and kind of share with you our concerns on some issues that we were, concerned with when it comes to public safety area. And you have to have hundreds of people upon hundreds with 110,000. You said that you alone as one state legislator are, responsible for hearing their concerns. What is that like? I mean, the state capitol is a busy place. People have all the different needs and concerns, and as a state representative, can you just help us understand, what is that? What is it like?
It's a challenge because there's always competing interests.
Yes.
And one of the things I like the most is meeting with people.
Yes.
I love to hear what people have to say, what are their concerns, how can I help? Because that's my job, to serve. I am here to serve my constituents, so how can I best do that? Sometimes it's hard because you do have a lot of competing interests, and so at the end of the day, it takes wisdom and careful consideration. What is the best path forward for everyone? That's not always an easy answer, but it's one that you have to take into consideration almost every day when you're down there.
And when it comes to, say, Republican and Democrat, have you found it to be an easy thing to be able to work across the lines with, because I know you're a Republican, and so is it easy for you to kind of, work across the aisle? How is that?
Yeah.
How does it feel? And I mean, because again, it's a lot of tension that the world can see is happening to Illinois right now.
Yeah.
So
That again, are definitely competing interests.
yes.
The really nice thing is that the people there are actually, to a person, they're really good people.
That's good.
And so we all have conversations. We can all talk to each other. We may not agree in the end, and right now, obviously, we don't
Right.
on a lot of things.
That's tough.
But it's not as hostile as you would think.
Okay.
And a lot of people, think that we're butting heads every day, and we do butt heads in policy and process many times. But as people, I think that we all know we're trying to accomplish the same thing, even if our means to get there is different. And so it's easy to talk to
Sure.
work with, to collaborate, and try to find common ground on things that we all agree. And there are many things that we do and we have. One example, we had passed an unemployment bill late last year, which was agreed on by both sides. Some
Nice.
reforms that help employers and also residents, constituents.
Okay.
So there are times you don't hear about it,
Right.
but there are times that we do come together and we agree on bills and then we get them passed. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, having, been in this area for years, even before you went to work down in Springfield for so many people, what does it feel like when it comes to your local interest, and now knowing that, on the state level, you have an opportunity to, do what you can to kind of put as much, effort into, like, you shared the marina. I know that's a great big one, but, how does it feel when it comes to seeing so much need? Like I know Zion has a lot of need. How does it feel just, being able to represent and being aware of the dire?
It's a good opportunity
Okay.
to advocate
Yes.
for people whose voices might not otherwise be heard.
Right.
We haven't had, since Senator Geocaris, there hasn't been any from our area
Right.
to really represent this end of the district.
Wow.
And I do represent a whole district, and I am very careful to get out in other areas too, but this is uniquely my home.
Sure.
And
sure.
I know the issues. I grew up here. I've seen how things have changed. I've seen our challenges grow. And it's really a privilege and an honor, and I'm humbled
I agree.
by that opportunity to be able to be the voice of my hometown
Yes.
where it matters. And I've had opportunities to do that, and either on the big level, arguing and promoting how close we are to the border,
Sure.
and what decisions that they make in Springfield have to that are uniquely ours. Things
Very
like that,
good.
advocating for us in that way. Policies that might be difficult for us to handle or absorb, or from being here,
Sure.
which they
sure.
might not otherwise know. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So now, do you have any great things on the forefront? Because I know a lot of times people wonder, it's like, wow, working down in Springfield and then being, a representative, do you have any big projects ahead that, that you're kind of spearheading, or anything that you would, I know the marina is one, but do you have any other areas that would be?
Yeah, it's along the same lines, most of it. We created, it's called the Lakeshore Economic Development Group.
Nice.
And it's Zion Winthrop Harbor Beach Park, officials from all three communities.
Very
We've been
nice.
able to bring people from the state up. This is part of what's helped the marina, but it's also helping on other levels too. Can we use the lakefront for festivals? Can we
Yes.
develop bike trails? Can we develop hiking trails? How can we partner with various groups and agencies to do that? So that we've made a lot of progress in. So now I'm going to
Yeah.
move that out to, we just started doing the same thing in Antioch.
Okay.
Again, bringing the resources from the state. How can we help
Nice.
develop opportunity, get people here, get businesses here? What are your unique challenges, Antioch?
There it is.
And then we hope to do that in other communities as well. So that's a really big one.
Yes.
I have another completely different one that I'm working on for a constituent that pertains to domestic abuse.
Oh.
And this is a whole different flavor. The economy affects all of us too.
Yes, it does.
But things like that. And so I'm working on a bill that would help in certain situations, victims of domestic violence. So,
Okay, excellent.
yeah, so I try to listen to what constituents care about.
Very good.
I try to develop legislation that helps them.
Yes.
And I try not to develop any legislation that adds more laws, adds more
Mhm.
burdens. You know, we have plenty of that already. So where we
Right.
can help, that's what I focus on. How can we streamline things, make things easier for our
Mhm.
schools, for our businesses,
Very good.
for our community?
And that's one of the things where I will bring it on a local level, if you can help, like, just in case I have an 8th grader or 2, or even an 11th grader watching this episode. Now, you're a state representative, and you work with senators, and then you all work with the governor.
Mhm.
Now, can you help a young person understand, is this something that they, if they were to choose this path, what would be some great advice that you would give to a young person?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I would say getting involved in school,
Okay.
There's so many opportunities to work in the community.
Mhm.
Understanding your community,
Yes.
knowing the people that live here, understanding the issues that your community faces, and getting
Mhm.
connected with people. Getting connected with helping people. And there's
Very
so
good.
many organizations in this area, the Rotary Club that you've been president of,
Yes.
the Kiwanis Club, local churches. You know,
Mhm.
find a way to put yourself out there
That's it.
so that you're being sacrificing and you're helping other people, because really this is public service.
Yes.
And whatever elected position that you have,
Mhm.
it's really, you're a servant of
That's
other
it.
people.
That's it.
And unless you, I mean, that's what makes you most successful, I think,
Mhm.
is having that mentality, no matter what you do in life,
That's right.
but particularly for serving the public. So
Right.
that's a good place to start. And then, you know,
Fantastic.
on a bigger level, helping with campaigns, you know,
Yes.
walking neighborhoods,
Yes.
talking about candidates that you care about, getting to know candidates and what they stand for.
Mhm.
You know, what's important to them, how can I help them?
Right.
Anything along those lines
Mhm.
is really a good groundwork
We
for
can't give
doing
up.
something, for doing something in the future.
Oh,
And
that's
if you want to change
outstanding.
things, it's a great way to get your foot in the door and be part of change.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So now at this time, I like to just kind of wrap up and just kind of, again, just to kind of reach areas where, again, if it was a young a person watching and they wanted the opportunity to maybe be a senator or a state rep themselves one day, and just like you just encouraged them to get involved. But when you were young, did you know you wanted to be a state representative when you were growing up, or is this something that kind of over time evolved?
I think it over time evolved, but
Okay.
I always knew that I wanted to be involved in politics.
Oh, so when you were, okay,
I
so it was
did.
there when you were.
Oh, absolutely,
Wow.
yeah. I thought, in fact, my degree, my major when I first went to college was political science.
Okay.
Yeah,
excellent.
I ended up doing a U-turn and doing accounting. I'm a CPA,
Okay.
which is practical on the job front, but I had thought that I wanted to intern either in Springfield or Washington. That would have been a great
Nice.
job, and life took a different turn at that point. But so it's always been there.
Very
And
good.
it's been, I used to read Time magazine when I was a kid,
Oh.
of all the crazy things, just because I liked current events and I liked keeping
Yes.
up with things.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I've always been connected in that
Okay.
way.
Yes.
But even if you weren't, you know, it's something that I think you can evolve.
Mhm.
If your heart is for service, and for
Mhm.
young people, you know, if their heart is for service and serving others,
Right.
you know, that's the best starting point. And
I
then
agree.
follow that road where it leads you. And, you know, if it's this, then you're well prepared for it.
That's it. That's
Mhm.
it. Well, I can't thank you enough for being one of our Shining Stars guests today, just to kind of allow everyone to hear your heart and to just kind of hear some things that you're working on in the community and, you know, on that statewide level. As we wrap up here, I always like sometimes just to kind of have my guests kind of look in the camera and just, you know, have the opportunity to share, you know, what is it that you would like for them to know, or, you know, we don't know what tomorrow holds.
No, we don't.
But, you know, can you just look in the camera and just, you know, just kind of share, you know, what it is that you hope for, not only the Zion Benton community, but on a statewide level? What is something that you're looking forward to, you know, despite the bad news that it's gridlock and a
Yeah.
budget problem, and
Yeah.
possibly you might be helping to oversee the Chicago public school system.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what hope and glimmer can you give just, anyone that just doesn't want to give up on Illinois and that's going to continue to stay here,
Yeah.
and not move? So can you
Yeah.
just
Sure.
look at our
Sure.
viewers and share that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, the most important thing is that we can't give up because there are so many residents in this state. It's a wonderful state. Illinois is a great place to live. We have tons of resources, natural resources, business resources, technology. And so we don't want to give up. And I didn't get elected to give up. And I wanted to go to Springfield to fight, and that's what I'm doing. As far as, the good news, the bad news, I think the vision is to make the state as compassionate and as competitive as we can. Because if we can be competitive, if we can keep jobs, keep businesses here, raise our revenue from natural resources, we can really be a compassionate state. We can provide the things that people really need for the people who need it the most, and that's what we want to be able to do. We want to be a state that takes care of our own, for people with developmental disabilities, for the aged, for children who need health care and child care, families who need a little help as they're on the way up to being self-sufficient. Those are the things that we need to provide as a state. And that's why I go, that's why I fight, that's why I serve, because it really, above all, it's service. And that's why I'm there. And I will continue to fight that fight as long as I'm there. Hard decisions, hard choices, hard battles to be fought, but I'm confident that we can come up with something and make Illinois a better place to live for everyone.
Outstanding.
So Shantal, thank you so much.
Oh, my
Yeah.
pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Again, I love to have our viewing audience have the opportunity to hear your heart and to know. So it's not just hearing your name, but they're able to hear what you're about, and you've done a fantastic job showing that. So
Thank you,
I want to
Shantal.
tell you thank you again.
Sure.
Good
Happy
job.
to be here. And thanks for all you do, too, in the community.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
My pleasure. So, well,
All right.
there you have it, folks. Another episode of Shining Stars with our State Representative Sheri Jesiel today. And I am Shantal Taylor signing off.